How you doing, guys? I'm Joe, and today I'm here to do a special review for Halloween. If you saw my Facebook page, or if you saw my Twitter page, whatever, or my Instagram, you would know that I was planning to do a video on The Sixth Sense. And here we are, talking about The Sixth Sense, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment, and Toni Collette. Now, when it comes to scary movies and horror stuff, I don't have the stomach for it. I am the biggest wuss when it comes to scary movies. I can't take it. Sixth Sense, on the other hand, is probably one of the few exceptions. It's not like straight up horror, it's like a paranormal type of thriller with some horror elements in there, like the jump scares, the ghosts, and creepy atmosphere, and some suspense-filled moments. Sixth Sense is probably the big exception for me when it comes to scary stuff on Halloween, besides the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. And as far as M. Night Shyamalan is concerned, I'm not too familiar with his movies, except for his first three movies, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable I've seen. I might do a review for that one day on this channel. Signs, I don't really remember too much of, so I can't say. And as far as his other movies go, The Village, Lady in the Water, The Happening, Last Airbender, and After Earth and The Visit, haven't seen any of those movies. And trust me, I am fully aware of this guy's reputation. People hate The Village, Lady in the Water. The Happening, I've heard, is absolutely atrocious, but hilarious. Of course, people hate The Last Airbender and After Earth. And some people say that The Visit was a possible comeback, but even then, people still hated it. So, at this point, it's like, even if he does make a good movie, is anybody really gonna praise him for it anymore? But I don't know. And as I said, I never really went out of my way to see any of his movies, but this one, I can safely say that I do really like it. I think it's a pretty good movie, personally. If you want to hate on me for that, you go right ahead. If any hater of M. Night Shyamalan out there is watching this, but I think it's a pretty damn good movie. Sue me. And there's going to be some spoilers in this video, so if anyone who's watching this hasn't seen it by now, it's been 17 years. I think there's plenty of time. You've been warned. There will be some spoilers. So The Sixth Sense is about a child psychiatrist named Dr. Malcolm Crowe, played by Bruce Willis, who's trying to help a young kid, Cole, Haley Joel Osment's character, who has the ability to see ghosts. And he wants to help this young kid, Cole, because he feels that it's going to right a wrong in his past, which he experienced with this one character named Vincent Gray, played by Donnie Wahlberg, who breaks into his house in the opening scene and shoots him. And Vincent Gray was a former patient of Malcolm Crowe, who had a similar condition that Cole has. And seeing the similarities between the two, Malcolm feels the need to figure out what's wrong with this young kid so he can feel like that he did something right in the end. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have said a lot of great stuff about The Sixth Sense, so I feel like it's really hard for me to add to the table what's already been said, but I think it's a very well-directed movie with some really creepy scenes and very skillfully suspense-driven thrills. And there's a couple of jump scares in here with jump scare music, and while that can get really tedious and on the nose after a while, Shyamalan uses it with skill in this one. It's only used about maybe 3 times, and the stuff that they show with it, it makes you jump, and it's meant to. And I can't really fault the movie for that. And there have been plenty of parodies about The Sixth Sense, the whole, "I say dead people." People have said that all the time, and I do remember hearing that for the first time when I was younger, although I didn't know about The Sixth Sense until maybe a couple years after that. But despite endless parodies of this movie, it's a very well-directed movie, and also a very interesting exploration about faith, things that from your past that can haunt you, and how they might later come back to bite you in the butt. And almost every character that we meet, particularly the main character, Malcolm Crowe, has something in his past that comes back to haunt him. And other characters as well that they meet throughout the movie, like the father who learns that his wife was poisoning his now dead daughter, which we'll get to that later. Now let's talk about the characters and cast. Bruce Willis, I think he's a really great actor, even though he's kind of been phoning it in for the last, 15, 16 years or so. A couple of exceptions here and there. Die Hard 4, he's pretty good, and even though he's kind of being Bruce Willis-like, it works in that movie. Looper, I think he's probably the best that he's done in a long time, even though it is kind of like Bruce Willis. But there are a few times where you can go, okay, he's actually trying here. This is probably some of the best he's ever done. It's easy to see him as like this action star, as John McClane, Last Boy Scout, or the Butch in Pulp Fiction. It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper. But here he plays a child psychiatrist who feels a sense of regret. It's not the typical Bruce Willis that we've come to expect. You could feel a sense of pain and regret in how he's trying to connect with his wife, who you can tell that he loves. But in the beginning, when he's looking at his award, she expresses that you've put all this ahead of everything else, including me. And now, because of this, and ever since the night he was shot, he's trying to reconnect with his wife, and seemingly to no avail. And she's starting to chase after somebody else. Now, of course, by the end, we all know what's going on, and we'll talk about that later. But Bruce Willis, this, as I've said, probably the best acting he's ever done. I bought him 100%. I said it before in a previous video last year when I bought The Sixth Sense on Blu-ray. You don't really see this kind of acting from Bruce Willis anymore because, like I said, he's been phoning it in most of the time, and it's just like, what's the point? I mean, I get it, you're famous now, but could you at least try once in a while? And he does once in a while, but that's really it. And Haley Joel Osment as Cole, that kid is great. And kid actors, sometimes are hit and miss for me, but I felt so sorry for this kid who's seeing all these things, and almost everybody in his school, including his teachers, don't understand him and see him as a freak. Especially the kid Tommy, played by Trevor Morgan. Freaking brat. And on top of that, his mother, played by Toni Collette, is dealing with a lot of turmoil and not understanding what's torturing her child. She's really great in this movie too. I haven't really seen her in anything else that I'm aware of. Like with Haley Joel Osment and Bruce Willis, I don't really see an actress. I see a character. And it all comes down to the realism that M. Night Shyamalan brings to this movie. These characters are dealing with actual legitimate problems in their lives. Malcolm Crowe's trying to right a wrong from his past. Cole is seeing ghosts everywhere. And Toni Collette's trying to help her son, and she doesn't know what to do. And she's a single mom trying to get by. In regards to Cole, before we get to the famous scene, I see dead people, Shyamalan actually does a good job of hinting at what's going on. You don't really know exactly what Cole is looking at by the time we get to the hospital scene where Willis is sitting by his bedside and he says, I see dead people. And then all that stuff happens and you start to see these ghosts, like the kid who got shot in the back of the head, the wife who was supposedly abused and murdered by her husband, and the jump scares start to come in. Whew. I actually tensed up. I was sitting there like this, like, oh my god, 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 oh my god. And then when the happens, I went, oh my god. I can't sit through horror movies, I'm sorry, but as I said, this is the exception. One of them anyway. While it could be really easy to get lost in the reveal of all these ghosts and everything, Shyamalan does a good job of maintaining a sense of what the movie's about. Regret, remorse, and faith, and all that stuff. And with faith, Cole and Malcolm hang out at the Catholic church, if I'm not mistaken, and I guess Shyamalan has a thing for religious themes. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I'm not exactly sure what he was going for there. Maybe someone else could tell me, but I do like it when a movie can touch on religious ideas while also not making it too obvious, especially to those who are non-religious, if you get what I mean. And then once Malcolm learns of Cole's secret, he decides maybe he should spend more time trying to reconnect with his wife. But then he goes back to an old tape from Vincent Gray, who showed up earlier in the movie, and he listens to one of his old tapes where he actually got scared and was crying. He turns the volume way, way up, and he can hear an actual voice that was in the room. The volume's turned all the way up, but he can hear a voice speaking in Spanish. Because at first, Malcolm believes that Cole is suffering from a severe schizophrenic disorder of some kind, I don't know. But since he's got similarities to Vincent Gray and he listens to that tape very closely, that's when he realizes, oh my god, he can see a ghost. And then he figures out, maybe they're trying to tell you something. Maybe they're not trying to scare you. So he suggests, try talking to them. Ask them, is there something you want to tell me? So when this one ghost comes in, this girl named Kira, who's looks like she's foaming at the mouth, Cole asks her, what do you want to tell me? So he and Malcolm track down her family, who are having a funeral for her, and they discover a tape in her bedroom. And Cole walks up to her dad and says, she told me to give this to you. She says she wanted to tell you something. And as he's watching this, you see a tape of her in her bedroom, and her mother comes in with some food. She puts something in her food. Poison. She was keeping their daughter sick the entire time. And everybody in the house is watching this tape. God, when you really think about that, that is sick. Not just sick. That's horrifying. And that's something that does happen sometimes in real life, and it's scary to think about that stuff. And after that, things start to get better for Cole, even though he still does see ghosts. He's learning to accept his gift, I guess, if you want to put it that way. He and Dr. Malcolm Crowe start to part ways, and he finally gets the courage to tell his mother his secret, that he can see dead people. And then he tells her about his grandmother, her mother, and the things she wanted to say to her. And oh, wow, it's so touching. I love it. And both these actors sell the heck out of it. And then finally we get to the big twist, which you know what it is. Bruce Willis has been a ghost the entire time. As he's sitting by his wife's side and a wedding ring falls off and he looks at his finger, wedding ring's not there. And if you remember, when Cole said, "I see dead people," he thinks back to it. He says, they don't know they're dead. They're walking around like normal people and they're seeing what they want to see. I have to admit, I knew what the twist was when I found out about this movie because I saw it in another movie where they reveal it. But even then, when I first watched it for the first time a couple years ago, I was still impressed with it. And it doesn't really break the movie for me because when you watch the movie from beginning to end, knowing what the twist is, there's these little hints that they give, such as when Malcolm is sitting by Cole's bedside when he says, "I see dead people," the camera's slowly panning on him, like it's saying, here you go. This is it. Now, some people might have problems with that reveal when they go back and watch it because of like the whole plot holes and everything. And look, there may be things that you could complain about when that happens, but even then, it doesn't bother me really because the whole movie is really well made in my eyes. And maybe that is hypocritical of me, but that's just how I feel. And the ending, when he finally is able to say, "You were never second, I've always loved you," and in a way his wife can still hear him, and they finally get to say goodbye. Perfect. Yeah, enough said. I really do like The Sixth Sense, and if you don't like it, okay, that's fine. But I think it's well done. So what are you guys' thoughts on The Sixth Sense? Do you like it, dislike it, you hate it, whatever your thoughts are? Comment below and tell me what you thought of it, and stay tuned for my review of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That's going to be fun. I'm really excited to talk about that, and I'll see you guys next time.